the light keeps changing. 2, that looks like a great shot. Keep it on that. And go ahead. 3, 4, 2, 2, you're hot.
How's number 4 now? ai ane he mau ho kupu ke no ko o ko manawa ina he ho kupu no pa ka o ko
go check on my shirt?
Not yet. Come, let me hold this. Wait here.
Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. Welcome to the celebration 130 years later. The continued elevation of our independence, of our right to justice, of our right to our lands, of our right to our futures. Today, we celebrate together in power. We honor through our leo, through our hula, through our lay of love, the whole kupu, the contract to bring down growth for us as a people, for our aina, for our children, for our brothers and sisters around this world who also seek justice. Today we are here to share an important story of the history of this place we all call home. During the age of empires, there was great political unrest around the world. Powerful nations were attempting to grab smaller territories and to consume them in this ever-growing process we know as imperialism. Kauikeoli, King Kamehameha III, was born into this phenomenon of European imperialism. And so, as a young man, the son of Kamehameha had important decisions to make, the first of which was to put his power, put his mana, put his right to rule into a constitution. And by so doing, he would design and create a modern Hawaiian nation state for the sole purpose of protecting our land from foreign invasion. From foreign invasion. From foreign invasion. And so the great king, Kauikeoli, thought to himself, educated. He sought to protect his people. He sought to protect his lands. He sought to protect our rights to be here as Hawaiians today. And so remember the great king, Kauikeoli Kamehameha III, for his vision in securing our place here in Hawaii for the Hawaiian people. For our lahui Hawaii, eo? During this time, Kauikeoli sent 3 important messages around the world, and their sole purpose was to achieve what no other non-European nation had achieved at that time, and that was to become recognized, a treaty-carrying member of the great nations of the world. And so Kauikeoli dispatches his dearest friend, Timoteo Ha'alilio, eo? The great king asked his friend, his childhood friend, a younger chief who was raised with Kauikeoli, he asked him to do the impossible. He asked him to travel across the world to a place that you have never been and to talk to people you've never seen and to do something that has never been done. He asked Timoteo to take this sacred mission across the world and to secure ea for Hawaii, ku'oko'a for Hawaii. Timoteo says, no. Ole, do not send me on this mission, for I fear that I may never see my homeland again. But loyal to the crown, loyal to his king, loyal to his people, loyal to the vision of the future of this nation of ours, Timoteo accepts this responsibility and he leaves. Months later, in February, a British consulate by the name of Richard Charlton, in a land dispute with the great king Kauikeoli Kamehameha III, writes a letter of complaint that the British were being mistreated here in Hawaii. Maybe you've heard this story before. But this letter that accused lawlessness against the British created a circumstance for an investigation to be done. And so Admiral Richard Thomas will send a man named Lord George Paulet immediately to Hawaii. Lord George Paulet meets with Richard Charlton. And after that short meeting, Lord Paulet presents the king under threat of cannon fire on Honolulu. 10 demands of the nascent king. Kauikeoli looks at this list of demands, but he is no pushover. He refuses to bend to the will of even the most powerful navy, and he tells Richard Charlton, Ole. These are Hawaiian lands. These are Hawaiian lands. These are Hawaiian lands. And so the great king, in his response to Richard Charlton, upsets him. He stomps off like a little. And he gets back and he writes to his friend, to express that Hawaii was now at threat of gunboat diplomacy, now under the control, the occupational force of the British. And for 5 months, the British Union Jack replaced and flew over the young Hawaiian kingdom. The stories talk of a great wailing from the people. The news reporters say that Kauikeoli, bathed in tears, regretfully seated under duress, under protest, until such time that things would be made pono. So the young king seized Hawaiian air, Hawaiian sovereignty, for a short time. Now the king was no fool, and the king wanted justice, and the king was ready to fight for it. So he pens a letter. A man by the name of William Richards and Mr. Marshall secret this letter away to the queen, and she receives it. And upon reading, and also convening with Timoteo, who had already reached those shores, already making treaties of friendship on behalf of the young nation of Hawaii with Great Britain, the Queen reads this letter and immediately responds and acts. She sends Admiral Richard Darkin Thomas immediately to investigate. Admiral Richard, he meets with Kauikeoli for a few short hours, and it becomes clear to Admiral Thomas that what Lord British Paulette had done was illegal and without the consent of Her Royal Majesty. And so, Admiral Richard Thomas endeavors and he executes a very, very important act of respect for our Hawaiian sovereignty. In the middle of a great crowd, surrounded here at what was once called Hula Okahua, hundreds of ali'i, thousands of maka'ainana gathered at this very park, gathered at this very place to reverse the occupation of Hawaii. And so, in this crowd, the High Hawaiian was brought out. The people stood as they saw and came to witness the return of Hawaiian sovereignty. The justice that would be given back on behalf of Admiral Richard Thomas and Great Britain. The people rose to their feet and cheered. attended by the young chiefs that would one day rule Hawaii. For half a century, the people in the kingdom celebrated Kala, Ho'i Ho'i Ea. Kala, Ho'i Ho'i Ea. Kala, Ho'i Ho'i Ea. The day that Hawaiian sovereignty came home to where it belongs. The day that independence was returned after a great and terrible crime had been committed against our king and our people. On July 31st, the Union Jack was lowered here on this very park. And in its place, Maui County rose his standard. And today, we raise the same national standard as Maui County did in 1843. The young chiefs of Hawaii would spend 50 years, their entire life, celebrating Kala Ho'i Ho'i Ea, just like your children do today. Just like your children do today. They don't know a Hawaiian history without Hawaiian independence restoration. They grew their children and cultivated a sense of Hawaiian national pride, of Hawaiian cultural identity, to create a unique and truly Hawaiian state. And today we celebrate Hawaiian sovereignty. We celebrate justice. Justice for our kingdom. Justice for the illegal overthrow that happened in 1893. Justice for the Americanization, the erasure, the shattering of our hope, the shattering of our memory, the disenfranchisement of our people from our land. But today, we have returned. Today we have come home. Today we are whole. Today in collective unity across all Hawaii Kupaina, all the Hawaiian nations, all of our communities, rise our flag proudly as a symbol of hope, as a symbol of freedom, of our undying air. May it be the beacon for our children, like the constellations in the sky that carry our wayfinders home. May our high Hawaii bring us home. May we carry the torch. May we carry the courage. May we carry the aloha aina to live on forever. We shall live forever. July 31st, 1843, the Hawaiian national standard was raised, and Tommie Square was born as the first site of the first Hawaiian national holiday, followed close in suit by our Hawaiian independence. Timoteo Ha'alilio never got to witness his home again. Timoteo Ha'alilio, the great hero, gave his life so that we may stand and remember who we are today. Whole, strong, courageous. And we shall remember. And in that day it was proclaimed by Kauikeauni Kamehameha III that forever shall the life, the independence, and the people of Hawaii be raised through the actions of our pono work. Uamo, Ke'ea, Oka'aina, Ikapono, say! The people cheer! Uamo, Ke'ea, Oka'aina, Ikapono, say! The Hawaiian nation cheered!
This is our last call to action, and I want us all to join. Will you please join me and put your fists in the air? Join me by putting your fists in the air. We're going to make a commitment to each other. Look at the person to the left. Look at the person to the right. We in this together. For each other, for your keiki, for my keiki, for your parents, for my parents, for our future all together as one. And today, we remember, we call out the great save. Not in the past, no, but into the future. And today, we proudly claim that we shall continue the work until our nation is restored by the people of the United States of America. And more, shall our children live, and we must fight every single day, Lahui. Thank you for joining us here today to celebrate Kala Hoi Hoi. Please join us in the singing of our great national anthem. Joining us here today. Aloha Kumahina for having us here. We love you all. Drink some water, everybody.
Get some water. We are celebrating today Hawaiian Sovereignty Restoration Day, which was here on July 31st, 1840.
Take footage of everything around. It's looking at you, big boy. It's looking at you.
So this is, as you can see, it has grown tremendously. And if you hear one of my pictures right here, what do you think? Shake the leaf off.
I'm gonna stay. I won't stay longer than that.
Straight to elements because it could hold everything in your car. Okay, let's line up, please. Tall people in the back, short people in the front, against here.
Right there?
No, right here. Well, I don't know. Where do we want to put
Somewhere else by
I like that.
championship or overtime. How about a big round of applause for our flag raisers?
I should have known this was joking.
Don't go away because we got tribute coming up the rest of the day. So if you learn something, then you need to bring us some swag. I want to shout out to the line on Honolulu. We're here today. We got more music coming up shortly, so don't go away. Come on around first.
pattern. Good after.
I don't even think that's the, or is that the line for this side?
Yeah, this is the separate.
Okay, last announcement. The next Kupa is going to be over there in the tent with this year's honorees. Uncle Nico Martin will be sharing movement Molelo and some Ohana from Uncle Abel's Studio Honolulu there as well. Starts at 1 o'clock on Halloween.
You can step on it. It's actually empty.
It is time to get down to business. Ladies and gentlemen, aloha hoi e a kako. Aloha hoi e a kako. Aloha hoi e a kako. All right, we're going to go back to some music. We got some good friends over from the big island. They're here to bless us. They're here. Happy to see you, brother Kurt. From Boy Out. Ladies and
Okay, Roger.
Majority were farmers. They're running the farmland in lands that were not able to farm, but they did. They're able to bring it up. And they lost everything because they were farmers.
My wife, the destinies of our generation to sing and praise the glories of our land. It's the walls and cities of refuge, high in the sacred ways. Upon white people's valley floor, the ancient battles rage. America's slow to the shores of Honolulu. We just take our lands from the parking sands to the valley of Honolulu. All the mighty stands together. It is now and forever to raise our voices and hold our banners high. We shall stand as a nation to guide the destinies of our generation to sing and praise the glories of our land. Answer the call. One person answering the call can lead to other people answering the call. So Lokai is our team. So here today the market team is the tents are expanding, and looks like the tail of the mo is alive. In other words, the children, the future generations are here. And that is what I see the significant transition of all the years that this has been occurring. Now, the children are back. And so it's a very it's a special time, because that's what it's going to take the future generations to keep this going. And those of us who have been at various steersmen of certain issues, now they're coming. So I feel I had to step up to come, because in the last 10 years, since Laulani called me, I was away doing some music things, and she called it, and she said that Oha had used the song All Hawaii Stand Together to push for federal recognition. Just at the time, a few minutes after, I got a call from somebody asking me $1,000 if they could use the song for federal recognition. To say the least, my heart was really broken, because you don't have to ask me, they're already singing the song. Let's be true to it. That's the thing, to be true. And so going on that journey in the last 10 years without Laulani, she's the one who kind of brought me back into the movement of the details of it. And I take it like a gardening project. Every morning we get up, and know, the weather is different, and you got to make your rounds across the yard. So I love my job, and it's basically now, it's to find out the trails that we've been on, who left the best trail for us, where it's safe, and to keep going on that trail. So anyway, that's the moderator's job. So Laulani, please, this, you know, she's a squadron commander to me. Okay. Really, that's how I'm able to hear of all the things that's going on everywhere. Get me up to the mainland, follow her, not only here, but up in the continent there, where thousands of our ohana have had to flee for their safety and better days. And so, okay, Laulani.
Mahalo, Liko. Mahalo, everybody, for being here and celebrating Uncle Liko and also Uncle Abel Simeona Louis, who is very dear to us. His brother was going to also be on this panel, but I think that it may have taken him some time to get over. But yeah, we do want to acknowledge Uncle Abel too.
Let me, certainly, our kupuna, the ones who came before us. I want to take the microphone and I'm going to stand up over here. I hope you take the time to come and look at this board.
Please come and look at that board. He worked on it so hard.
Because Abel cannot speak for himself. These photos is Abel's message. What here is the life, the example of someone who goes out onto the land, answers their family calling, and goes back to his aina, back to the, you know, into Kahiko, place not even to know, sleep naked under the stars, Abel, going back to his land in Kau. 25 years, I never met anyone who was arrested more times than Abel. And every time, whatever they tied on him, it just melted away. These are photos that were prepared at the DLNR once when they had a hearing. And it was about a federal grant money coming to, in the words of the chairman at the time, to buy the clouded title. And it took the clouded title money to remove, finally, Abel. Okay? And here's the whole paper. It goes going on the land. And everything that Abel, I mean, you know, you live in Kau, and the place just looks like it's just dirty. All hand water. We dug the well. After the land grant, the second largest aquifer on the Big Island, you can't see the water anymore. Nature Conservancy, Trust 2 has taken it all. Now, they run tours to the 510c3, and they say this is how the ancient Hawaiians lived. Not so ancient.
Nico, can you tell us about Abel, describe Abel as a person, you know, because I think a lot of people didn't get a chance to really meet him and know him, and he was such an amazing person. Can you describe him?
A story that Abel tells. When he was very young, he went into the school system. And when he raised his hand one day to his teacher and asked the teacher, "How come you're not teaching us about the Hawaiian kingdom?" She sent him to the principal's office. And when he went home, his mother asked him, "Abel, do you love your teacher?" Abel says, "Yes, I love my teacher, but I still want to hear about the Hawaiian kingdom." My first day kindergarten, I escaped from Jefferson School and went up and hid out in a machine gun shack on Diamond Head till my grandfather came home. Why? Because nobody would talk to me. You know, racism and things like that, you know. He shares another part of his life when everybody used to wonder, his whole family wondered about him. And his mom told the family, Abel belonged to God. One day, after Abel met his beautiful wife, who he had to ship his whole family to Canada when they started attacking him. The uncles came, they built up a house. Abel went to Hilo for something, came back. The house was totally destroyed. Everything was taken. His wife was hiding in the bushes. And Abel, he tells the story, he looked up to God and he said, well, what am I going to do? And the answer that came to Abel was, well, Abel, looks like they needed it more than you. That's the kind of man that Abel was after 20 years in prison for taking the life of someone who said they were going to take his. He just went down there and dispensed with that threat. But man, Abel on the land, Kuchina, please come, please. One day when Abel was on our way to the hospital, okay, I was with Abel when he had a quadruple bypass. And Abel's laying there on the tree, on the ground. Well, which way are we going? We're going to catch the plane, we're going to Honolulu, or we're going to Hilo Hospital, and Katrina shows up. You tell the story.
Or you guys want a different one?
Nico introduced me to Uncle Abel and said, this is my best friend and he's dying under this coconut tree at Kawa. And I go, oh gee, I'm a registered nurse and I've got like blood pressure kit, Gatorade, stethoscope, everything. So found out, I was a bleeding ulcer that time. Got him to his doctor who is Kealani's mom, Dr. Lorenzo Notapale. He survived that one. At that time, and then he kept me alive when we got to live together almost 15 years till cancer took him out his heart or his stomach. I miss him so much. And I never had a shirt with him on it, but he's such a ham. He always said, take my picture. He's loving it.
So in the morning, when you look at these photos, you're going to see a crushed house. On the morning that the federal grant monies brought them into them to tear down this house, Katrina calls me on the phone, and she was just slammed down on the ground. Okay. So some of the little writings here, native tenant rights, not for sale. Illegal annexation, fake state of Hawaii. Give us back our land. No overthrow. I am the evidence, not the crime. These pictures here is when they were spraying down in Honoapo. And Abel went down there to chop, got in trouble with the police, but the birds all came and died in Abel's arms. This is what is the evidence, okay? Everything. Abel's sleeping, the monk seal is sleeping. We're in harmony. We are the endangered species with the rest of the endangered species. The whole world is an endangered species. In the center of this document is the answer to the question, what hasn't been done in the so-called apology. I really say there wasn't an apology. Okay, when you break it down, there's a lot of manipulation of historical facts, the fortified apartheid, the ultimate solution, as you can say, but the remedy for that is what Lilo Kalani filed January 17, 1897. Laulani and I went back, we saw red ribbons. Somebody told me, go back and file that letter. I'm just a gardener, okay? And in a gardener, sometimes in a strange land, little did I know how much significance that one particular letter means for us going forward. Where can we go to say and bring the question to who? The honest American, to the world, is you didn't acknowledge the ramifications. Who did acknowledge it? Is there a guide? Queen Lilo Kalani. The entire text of that filing laid out the ramifications. Invasion of the rights of the chiefs, breaking of the treaties. So where can we go? The door is open there. Okay? And can we do it here? We're limited here. You know, I grew up at the end of the war, and I always used to watch all the war movies. And one, they had to talk about this, they called it crossing the Rubicon. And the Rubicon was a river. The Rubicon, crossing the Rubicon meant that you would go where they would least expect you to go. Who went with Ililio at this time? The Kue petition. They call us Native Hawaiians, they call us this, we let them call us whatever, they give us the money, leave us alone. We go back to the original identity of those descendants who signed that Kue petition, and we can bring history back, like this morning was January 17th. Only a year ago, Laulani found out my grandmother was arrested and was held in the palace with the Queen. So it's no wonder that it always calls to me. Every morning, even when I'm sleeping, every minute of my life. But I like my job. Okay, I'll learn. So this is Abel.
If I can give a little bit of context, just to kind of add on to what Uncle Liko is saying about Uncle Abel. You know, he was a real manifestation of aloha in a way that can actually move. It can actually move on the spiritual level and on the physical level. You know, I spent a lot of time working with him on Mauna Kea things, and he would come into these DLNR meetings when things were building up over Mauna Kea early on, before all the Kukia'i Mauna stuff happened. He would come into these BLNR hearings and he would blow his big poo, you know, and if you ever hear Abel's poo, it just clears the whole energy, you know, and then he would do his aloha, which this is just the most amazing thing, because he's actually bringing in real aloha, and it's a powerful force, and it's the force of sound. And I think that is the thing that Abel and Liko have in common, is the use of that power of sound to transform the situation that we're in to ku'e. You know, and so when Liko's talking about the red ribbons, what he, I think it's important to know the context that he had written a song called Red Ribbons. And we started to do that song in protest of the federal recognition that was happening, because some of that, those forces were trying to use a Hawaii Stand Together to promote a certain viewpoint that, you know, while we love the people, it's limiting of our sovereignty, where we're not able to achieve our independence and the truth that exists. And so Liko's honoring of the Queen with this Red Ribbons song, Red Ribbons being the ribbon that is tied on her protest letter that still exists in Washington, D.C., right? They attach this little red ribbon to certify that it's an authentic copy of the National Archive. And also, Liko has shared before that it is also the blood of the people that runs through all of these things and is still present. And so that protest letter that makes it clear that she never let go of our kingdom and our independence and our sovereignty and this ku'e against the United States was something that he took from his song, made it into a song, and then used that song to protest, and then took that and actually went where we followed the Queen's path in all the way across America and ended up in Washington, D.C., where he refiled her letter with the Department of State. So it's that kind of thing. It comes from song, and then it comes from history, and it comes through story, and it goes back to the people who are oppressing us and says, hey, we're here, we're not going away, and we're still fighting. So anyway, I just wanted to give that a little bit of that context to the red ribbon. But I think that it's very important to understand that Liko has been through so much, just to kind of nutshell a little bit, he's talking about how Abel has been arrested so many times, and that is true. And Liko's also been arrested many times in, Kalama Valley and Kaho'olawe and Mauna Kea and many other places, and also has challenged, with the power of song, has challenged the system and the existing powers and the power of truth, to the point where he's also had to run for his life and has survived assassination attempts. And I'm just saying these things because I think that this is the background story that people don't realize, that music isn't just a nice, non-threatening thing. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta be careful sometimes. In the yard, you pick up something and get one black widow underneath there or something. Nevertheless, my thoughts right now are reflecting this first half of this year. Okay, here we are. The generation is back. The tail is still on the mo'o. Thank God they didn't cut it all off. Otherwise, we would not be here. We had a great first half. Twice, the thief standing in judgment even of itself was not able to do that. I'm talking about the military leases. Why? What happened? What made that turn in that way? Presence of the ohana, honesty, being consistent, calling upon them to do the good job, So even them, when the staff came out on the last one for the federal EIS, they had to say no. It says a lot about where the governance system is. They're starting to realize that they don't even have the authority to be sitting there to receive the petition in the first place. So in the first half of this year, they couldn't even kick a field goal. And when that occurred a few Fridays back, just prior to that coming up, the first one was Pohakuloa was great. Yeah, but are they going to come back? Yeah, it seems like they're going to come back. So how safe are we until they come back? So it's not enough to just take it to that point. Well, we'll be back next year. We have to address in the gardening project, we came to realize that the ones who they're going to for this permission to come in, they got rules too. But it's the imitation. They don't represent the Crown Land Commission that's really there for us. And what does that mean? Self-determination. The two things that the apology resolution points out that is occurring: suppression of inherent sovereignty and deprivation of self-determination. So the first one for Pohakuloa was pretty emotional. I just came in and told the DLNR board, because I had asked the chairman there. I went up there and asked her, now, Chairman, are you a State Historic Preservation Officer under the U.S. Code Title 16? She kind of looked at me. Yeah. So if that is the case, then how are you certified? See, the thief can't certify itself. So they got pukas in their armor, okay? They got cracks in the walls. And the fact is that the state and all the county governments are not properly certified under U.S. statutes. And that is what was filed, to actually request that chairman to do her job to inform the Secretary of Interior that we need the discretion to determine whether or not there are major inconsistencies in historic preservation. What is the significance of historic preservation? That's the port of entry. Before we had ports of entry, you had to get off the boat, come in. Now the port of entry is at the tax map key. Keyed only with no determination of ownership. But none of the government buildings are certified property because we are the chief governing authority. The chief governing authority is Hawaiian law set by Hawaiian judicial precedent. And when I gave that letter to the chair, they knew where we're going. That particular entity is perhaps the most important entity to keep the pressure there. That's where we, as a Lahui, belong. Earlier, Keanu Sai was talking about when are they going to enforce it? When are we going to enforce it? When are we going to put our line and say, assume this is the request, and it was very clear to request of the chairman to do your job. I am requesting from you because you work for the federal government to get your boss over here, because I'm telling you, you're not certified to conduct any of this. And what's so important about historic preservation, that it's the most egregious thing that you can do under the laws of war, is to dig up someone's graves and disrespect their family honors. And we have totally, that is what has torn us apart. And it's within our grasp. So looking at the second half, that's what I'm looking at. When Laulani and I went to Washington, D.C. in October, there was one office that I went to look for specifically, and that was the House Oversight Committee. Why? Because they can impeach federal officials.
Liko,
okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, given these all of this that you're sharing, what is your vision? And I should say we should probably move to question and answer pretty soon. But what is your vision? Because I kind of happen to know that you've done a lot of writing and a lot of drawing up of a really wonderful vision for Hawaii for the future. Can you share what the parts of that you can share, what that looks like?
Taking it to what it looks like is crossing the Rubicon.
The Rubicon is a river. It was an obstacle in World War II. No one thought that you would actually go into the territory of what was an enemy and go there and bring the issue to them. People are not aware. We need to people, for those who can do it, and you know, I feel comfortable doing it, getting the issue straight, not putting myself a cart in front of the horse, having the issue well enough defined, where I'm not speaking for myself, but I'm speaking of ourselves.
I guess what I'm asking is about when the rivers are flowing, when we actually have it back, what does that look like? Because you've shared some beautiful stuff.
Gardening is job security. Comes with the season. Okay. You know, when you're gonna go in there, okay, you flood, well, I don't know, guys, wait till the water drops down and I'm gonna find out where all the sandy loam went, where this and that. It's putting pressure, keeping pressure, and challenging them and taking them into where you can bring consciousness and awareness to them. And truly that can go a long way. Some people ask me, well, Liko, when you wrote to the president, what did they do? When George Bush was president and Hurricane Katrina hit, Senator Inouye was about ready to do the Akaka bill through a cloture vote. He had enough votes in the Senate. But there was one kupuna on Kauai, his name was Sani Waiale Ale, who coming down the river realized that why is he paying the state to lease his dock from the river that his family and the mountain that his family is named after? So he told the state, I'm not gonna pay you, and don't you touch my boots. Well, sooner or later he came to me. On his signature, we wrote a letter to George Bush. Had all the familiar, a lot of it's like a cooking show. If you were to come up, anybody come up, you're gonna have the same canned sardine, you're gonna have the same, you know, whatever it is, it's how you present the thing. So in compiling this information, because Hurricane Katrina came in and stopped the proceeding, which I had been tracking for 15 years since Senator Inouye at the East-West Center, the day that Pokala Inouye told him about being a thief in judgment of himself, okay, have been tracking what they're gonna do. Anyway, put it together. I said, Uncle, you're gonna sign this letter. He says, well, what do you think they're gonna do? I said, Uncle, it's not us to what they do. Where we've identified the high ground. If the person in that office wants to go there, it's up to them. Let's just put a high ground. So he says, but I said, Uncle, you gotta introduce. So he says to President Bush, he says, when I was a pilot for so-and-so airlines in Texas, I met a beautiful woman, who was my wife. In Texas, where a man's word was his bond. When we sent those 4 packets, one to the United Nations, one to the President Bush, and 2 copies to each Judiciary Committee of the United States Congress, 4 days later, President Bush announced on the radio that he would not sign the Akaka bill. And we were sitting at the TV in front of it. So any people who say it doesn't matter, everything matters. Okay? Everything matters. At least we didn't have the Akaka bill. Now we have another conspiracy, and it's all laid out. Okay, we got fortification, apology. There was no apology. They used the United States as a scapegoat to hide the thing. Okay. Has things got better since 1993? No way. They've totally come in and totally collapsed our culture and everything. Okay, what then?
Well, I think we should move into question and answer so that we have a little bit of time for that. So
yeah, and somebody who would like to say, something. What do you think? here's the thing. It's just what I'm working with right now, and please feel free to. Hey, Terry. Terry. Yeah.
Hey Terry. Aloha. Thank you so much for your mama'o and for being here. Mahalo so much for presenting and giving us the historic background. What I wanted to say is just last year I was at the school on the Big Island, and there's people don't realize all of the destruction that has gone on, like at Honolulu, you know. And a lot of people don't even understand the destruction that has been right here on Honolulu, like in the Kua Valley. In the Kua Valley, looking for the environment, and we try to walk up.
That's what I understand too. I know how they're doing these guys.
Sir, excuse me. Would you please tell me? I want to find out where you planted, how are you, and since you brought it up, you're the one who's responsible for all of this. Is that correct, sir? Then, we need to do